Welcome everyone to ImaginativeVisions.com. This is Nostalgia Trip. Justin here. And today, folks, we are going to journey to the year 1992 to talk about one of my favorite thrillers from the early 90s. A film that I truthfully had no business watching as a kid. Now, full disclaimer, I did not watch this in 1992. I was only 6 years old. So I'm talking about me watching this a little bit later, or I believe I watched this in 96 or 97. I was 10 or 11 when I first watched this film. And we're going to be talking about The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. It's one of my favorite thrillers. I feel that it's an underrated film, but as time grew, people really started to appreciate it. And Hulu did do a remake, which I didn't watch yet. I'll probably check it out. I'm not hearing really great things about it, so I was kind of afraid to watch it, but let's talk a little bit about it, shall we? When people talk about great 90s thrillers, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle deserves to be in that conversation. As stated before, it was released in 1992, and the film came during a time when domestic thrillers were huge. There were movies where the danger did not come from a monster, a mass killer, or some supernatural force. The danger came from someone entering your everyday life. And in this film, it was a nanny. And that simple idea is what truly made the film so effective. The film was directed by Curtis Hanson, who would later go on to direct LA Confidential. And the screenplay was written by Amanda Silver. And what makes this production history interesting is that the script started as a MFA thesis at USC. And it was picked up by Interscope Communications and made for Hollywood Pictures, which was a Disney label that released more adult-minded films at the time. The movie was made only for a modest $11.9 million and became a huge hit, earning over $88 million at the domestic box office. That was a huge return for a suspense thriller that was built on tension and performance than action or spectacle. And the story follows Claire Barthel, and she's a wife and a mother whose life is shaken after she was unfortunately assaulted by her doctor, Dr. Mott. And Claire reports him. Then sooner or later, other women start to come forward about the doctor, and he decides to leave by self-deletion before he can go to trial. And then his wife, who loses everything, blames Claire for what happened. Months later, she reinvents herself as Peyton Flanders and becomes the Barthel family nanny. And for me, that's what made the film work so well, is that particular premise. Here you have a woman that has this vendetta against this lady for speaking out, believe it or not, against her husband. And it's not even the fact of she's upset with what her husband, this just shows you how crazy the character Peyton was. She's not really upset about what her husband was doing to other women. She's really just pissed off that she lost everything. And just you gotta give the brilliant acting by the entire cast who were really got into the roles. And I just gotta say that Rebecca, who plays Peyton, just does a phenomenal job. Just completely just show stealing it the entire time. And that's like what really makes the horror work in this particular film. What makes The Hand That Rocks the Cradle work is how patient it is. Peyton does not walk into a house acting evil right away. She presents herself as helpful, soft-spoken, and almost too good to be true. She knows exactly how to gain trust, especially at a time when Claire is tired, overwhelmed, and trying to balance motherhood with healing from trauma. And Peyton slowly starts taking over Claire's place in the house. She bonds with the baby, she wins over Emma, who's Claire's daughter, and she plants doubt in Claire's marriage. She turns people against each other, and the movie understands that the psychological horror or thriller is not always about loud scares. Sometimes it's just about watching someone quietly poison a family from the inside. I mean, come on, right? And Rebecca De Mornay is the engine of the movie. Peyton is not written as a mysterious villain because the audience knows who she is already. The suspense comes from waiting for everyone else to catch up. And Rebecca plays her with calm, icy control that makes her scary. She does not overreact. Her smiles feel fake. Her kindness feels rehearsed. And her stillness truly makes you nervous. And not to mention those piercing eyes. She turns Peyton into one of the most memorable thriller villains of the 90s because she was believable in this particular movie. And also, we have to say that I'm going to botch her last name, so forgive me ahead of time. Annabelle Sciorra is also very strong as Claire. She gives the movie its emotional center. Claire's not just a victim wanting to be saved, she's a woman trying to rebuild her life after something horrible happens to her. And what works is about Annabelle's performance is that you feel Claire's fear, her guilt, her confusion, and anger, especially given the circumstances of what happened to her. When Peyton starts making Claire look unstable, her performance becomes even more important because Annabelle makes you feel how frustrating it is to know something is wrong, but you're not able to prove it. And we have to talk, of course, about Ernie Hudson because his performance as Solomon is absolutely amazing. His performance brings this warmth and heart to the film. And Solomon could have easily been written as just a side character, but Hudson makes him one of the most important people in the story. He gave Solomon kindness, innocence, and a quiet strength. The way he interacts with children feels natural, and when Peyton targets him, is one of the most upsetting parts of the movie because we know he does not deserve it. Hudson makes the audience care about Solomon, and by the end, his role becomes heroic without feeling forced. He gives the film its humanity and that balance out of this cruelty that Peyton's plan really is. And then, of course, we have Julianne Moore, also stands out as Marlene, who is Claire's best friend. And this was still Julianne was still early in her film career, but you could already see the screen presence here. And Marlene is sharp, direct, loyal, and she's kind of the friend who sees through things faster than everyone else. And Moore gives her scenes energy. And then you have Matt McCoy, who plays Michael, Claire's husband, and he works well because the meaning of a sometimes, the well-meaning but sometimes clueless husband who doesn't fully see the dangers was kind of a 90s trope, but still, he did a good job. And the rest of the cast was solid as well. And it was just a phenomenal performance across the board. And I just can't praise the cast enough. Like, one of my favorite scenes, and I think a lot of people's favorite scene, is the confrontation between Solomon and Peyton. And this particular scene is when Solomon is noticing that she is, spoiler alert, I'm not going to spoil it just in case somebody wants to see it. And plus, there's a remake here, so I'm not going to spoil it. But Peyton does something with the baby, and Solomon notices it, and Peyton catches him watching. And she just intimidates him to the point where it's getting to the point like, oh my God, is she really going to X this guy off? And she just gives him a slap, but it's Rebecca's eyes, the performance, the delivery in this particular scene that truly elevates the character of Peyton, that you're just going, holy God, this woman is nuts. This woman is crazy, and I'm completely terrified. But there's more to just the story, the acting. The story also had some underlying themes to it as well. Themes are what make the movie more than just a simple nanny from hell thriller. It's about trust and how dangerous it can be when the wrong person is allowed to enter the most private parts of your life. It's about motherhood, definitely trauma, jealousy, revenge, and the fear of being replaced. Peyton does not just want to hurt Claire physically, she wants to erase her from her own family. That's what makes this movie disturbing. The attack is emotional before it becomes violent. The film also taps into the fear of not being believed. Claire speaks up after being assaulted, and that choice sets the whole plot into motion. Later, when she senses something is very different and wrong with Peyton, she again struggles to make others understand. And the movie uses thriller logic, but underneath that, it is dealing with a very real fear many people have, telling the truth and still being doubted. And you gotta give credit to Curtis Hanson's direction here because it keeps the movie tight and easy to flow. The Seattle locations give the film a cool suburban look that fits the story, and the family's home feels safe at first, but Peyton's plan unfolds that some homes starts to feel trapped and unsafe. And that's a good thrill of filmmaking. The movie does not need big set pieces every few minutes. It builds tension through small details and household spaces and character choices. Looking back, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is very much a movie of its time, but it's part of why it's worth revisiting. It has that early 90s thriller style where the pacing is steady, the villain is memorable, and the story is built around everyday fears. Some parts may feel heightened today, but the core idea still works because the fear is simple. What happens when someone you trust with your family is secretly trying to destroy it? And that reason alone is why you should check out the performances. The performances I can't stress enough. They all help sell the family dynamic, and Ernie Hudson is just excellent as someone. And The Hand That Rocks the Cradle still holds up because it understands suspense. It's not just about what Peyton does, it's about the slow dread of watching her get closer and closer to taking over a family. It's a strong 90s psychological thriller, a great example of domestic suspense, and a movie that reminds you how scary it can be when danger enters through the front door with a smile. And that is going to conclude our nostalgia trip on The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. If you're going to watch the new remake that's out, I highly recommend that you watch the original first to just see the great performances, the amazing story, the great characterization, the themes. It is just one of the best 90s thrillers in the early 90s. Highly recommend this one, folks. And I'm going to sign off now. If you like what we do here at ImagineDivisions.com, check out the rest of our stuff. Check out our Tribeca Film Festival coverage. And I will have more nostalgia trips coming for you soon. A lot of good stuff from the 90s and some of my favorite shows I will be talking about eventually. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you're watching this on YouTube. And I will catch you on our next trip. Later days.